Okay, so begin by standing tall, arms high overhead. Inhale and reach up through your hands. And then exhale and relax, hands by your side. Again, reach high overhead, inhale. And then hinging at the hip, bend forward, halfway down. And then inhale and come back up to a flat back. And then let yourself come down. Bend your knees so that you can easily touch your fingertips to the floor. And then go ahead and step back with the right foot. So you're in a long lunge with the back knee on the ground. From here, inhale, and again, reach up high through your hands overhead. Take a couple of breaths here, reaching on the inhale. Hands back down to the front of the mat. Left foot back to the right foot and push up into the downward dog position. Try and press through your palms and your fingers, not just through your wrists. Reach back with the heels, reach up with the pelvis high. Good. And then step forward, right foot between your hands. And then again, opposite side, reaching high overhead. On the inhales, take a couple of breaths here. Hands back down to the front of the mat, feet back together behind, press up into downward dog. As you inhale, slide forward into a plank position and then lower yourself down so that you're laying flat. Then with your hands under your shoulders, just press up gently so that the tops of your feet and your pelvis are in contact with the floor. And just try and lengthen through pushing the chest out and up. And take a good breath there. And then lower back down. And again, do the same. You should feel the muscles of the back engaged. Draw the shoulder blades down the back. Good. And then press back up into downward dog. Step left foot forward between the hands. Right knee to the floor. Then again, reaching up high through the hands in this lunge position. Couple breaths here. Then lower your hands down and turn your body to the left and try and meet your right shoulder with your left knee. Take a couple of breaths here. As you breathe in, try and lengthen your torso. And as you exhale, try to rotate from the chest. You can also look over your left shoulder. As you inhale, come back up, reaching high overhead. And then hands down to the foot. Left foot back, press into downward dog. Right foot forward, again. From the lunge, reach high overhead. After a breath or two here, bring your hands together, rotate to the right, and try and reach the left shoulder to the right knee. As you inhale, you can try and lengthen through the top of your head. And as you exhale, rotating the chest and gazing over the right shoulder. As you inhale, hands high up overhead again. Reach, and then hands down to the foot. Right foot back. Press up into downward dog again. Forward into a plank position. Lower down, and then again, pressing up. Drawing the shoulder blades back down. Engaging the back muscles. Good. And then lower yourself down. One more time like that. Press up into downward dog. Walk your feet forward. And then on an inhale, stand back up, reaching high overhead again.
Deep breath there. And as you exhale, let your hands come back down by your sides. On an inhale, reach up high overhead. Hinge at the hip halfway down. Straight back. And then lower yourself down, fingertips to the floor. Walk your feet back. Remain in this plank position. And then do 5 push-ups. Keep your elbows close to your ribs. Try to keep your torso straight with your legs. Good. Lower yourself down again to the floor and press up. From here, press up into downward dog. And then slide forward again into the plank position. Now we're going to do some planking exercises as part of the warm-up. So go ahead and reach your knee to the outside, middle, and opposite side. Alternating sides, we'll go for 3 on each side. It's 2. Press back into downward dog. Slide forward into a plank. Lower yourself down. This time, try and just hover your hands above the mat as you again draw yourself up, drawing the shoulder blades down the back, using the muscles of the back to raise you up. And lower yourself back down. And then again, hands hovering, raise yourself up, draw your shoulder blades down your back, and lower down. Press up into downward dog again. Walk your feet forward to your hands, and then straighten yourself up again. So you can gradually uncurl, and then inhale, hands high overhead. And release your hands and shake it out. So from here we'll go into the more normal core stuff, transition from the yoga to the abdominal exercises and contralateral exercises. So the first one we'll do is bird dog, which begins from an all fours position. We'll go for 10 repetitions on each side. So reaching out with the right leg and the left hand, settle into a position where you feel that you have a straight line running from the fingers of your left hand through the heel of your right leg. You can point the toe or flex it, either way. Then the 10 is going to be 1, 2, so it's opposite elbow to knee. You can go to either side of the knee, but just make sure that you're getting full extension at the end of each one. Return to center and do a little bit of a stretch here. This is cat-cow in yoga, so reach the spine up. And on the inhale, let your belly hang. On the exhale, arch up again as you empty your breath. And then inhale as you flex. Okay, good. Now opposite side. So this time it's going to be left leg, right arm. Find that straight line between them before you start doing the exercises. This is going to be your return point, so make sure you're getting full extension with each one. and return. And then again, cat-cow, a few cycles. Good. You can shift back into child pose for a moment to stretch out. Slide forward. Now we're just going to switch onto our backs and do 10 simple crunches. So feet are flat on the floor, hands are up but not pulling on the head, just elevated, keeping the shoulders up. And the goal is just to draw the ribs towards the hips. So it's not so much a curling in the neck and upper back as it is just a flexing of the front of the torso, the lower torso. So go for 10 crunches. Should be fairly easy. We'll use that as a change kind of thing throughout. So while we're recovering from doing something more complicated, we'll do crunches like that. Next maneuver begins from a plank on the elbows, and again, you should try and feel for a straight line from your shoulder blades all the way through the heels. Try and just have a flat body here. Then what we're going to do is alternating leg lifts. So we'll go for 10 on each side. 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5. Good. And then just come back to your hands and knees. Breathe here. Once your breathing's calmed down again, you can again transition to your back for easy crunches. So this is my weight that's just really for the purpose of having some sort of target. It probably weighs less than a pound, but it's useful because this drill requires a fair amount of visual coordination because it's balanced from one leg. So this is the single leg deadlift, but with a real emphasis on hinging at the hip and maintaining a straight torso and swinging leg. So to begin with, take an erect posture and shift your weight onto the left foot, raise your right foot off the ground and tilt yourself slightly forward. So the goal is to try to maintain a pretty straight line from the heel through the shoulder as you hinge down using that left hip to control and reach with the opposite hand. So if I'm standing on my left foot, I'm going to be grabbing the weight with my right hand. So from there, do 10 such hinges. Keep the working left knee soft. It shouldn't be locked out, but it shouldn't be bending to get down either. You'll find that probably balance is the biggest challenge at first, because the deeper you go, as I just showed, the more unsteady you'll probably get. But go for 10 smooth, controlled hinges and aim for having a pretty straight body when you're at all positions. So from all the way down to all the way up. Now I'm going to go ahead and set the bottle down so I can switch sides. I'm just going to pause for a second, shake it out. That working left leg is pretty tired now. So switching sides, going to be shifting my weight onto my right side as my left leg comes up. So grabbing with my left hand since my right leg is working, and back up to standing. I try not to catch myself at the top with my swinging foot. I try to just balance on one foot the entire time, but if you need to catch your balance, then that's what you have to do. So on the up part, from the bottom where you're hinging up, try to feel that you're engaging the large glute muscles of the hip. So try and be active with those muscles, try to fire them intentionally to get the body back up to vertical. Good, and then just come back to standing, shake it out a bit, and then again, return to the crunches once you have your breath. Okay, here goes that. So the next maneuver is the side plank with leg raise. So to begin this, you'll be with your elbow on the floor below your shoulder, and then try and get it so that your body is straight. So you'll probably feel like you're really pushing your hips forward, and then my knees are at a 90-degree angle, so they're pretty much directly behind the knees. I mean, my heels are directly behind my knees. And I'm going to extend, in this case, the right leg and raise up off of the floor. So I just have a straight bottom side of my torso, definitely strongly engaging the obliques down there. And then I'm going to go for 10 leg raises and try to raise the heel vertical or even slightly back, and you'll feel that that engages the glute more. So try and engage the glute as you raise the leg. Good. And then lower yourself down and transition to the other side. So I'm just going to stretch out a little bit to keep my shoulders feeling a little bit relaxed in between. It's fairly hard on the supportive shoulder. Not hard in a bad way, but it just requires constant work. So again, starting with my pelvis forward, elbow under shoulder, extend the left leg, nice straight torso here, and then raising the left heel up and back. Go for 10 count there, and then just return to an all fours position. Again, it's good just to stretch out in between these, keep everything moving while you catch your breath. Once you have your breath back well enough, transition again to the sit-ups or crunches. This time I'm going to add a twist to the crunch. But again, it's mostly just that I'm bringing my pec area towards the opposite hip or opposite knee. It's not that I'm really reaching with the arms, it's more that I'm reaching with the chest. And I'm trying to also get kind of a twist as I go, so it's not just pulling up to one side, it's also trying to rotate the trunk a little bit. And go for 10 there. And then our final exercise is the single leg bridge with leg raise. So this is again going to be an exercise that started from the back, basically from that same sit-up position. Go ahead and hold your upper arms tight to your ribs and press the backs of your elbows against the floor. So that's going to be part of where you're supporting yourself from during this. and then draw your shoulder blades towards each other on your back. So your weight of your back is somewhat rested on your shoulder blades or upper shoulders. Then tightening your glutes, raise your hips up. So I'm engaging my hips, my glute muscles on the back side to raise myself up. Then from here, extend your right leg so that it is parallel. The upper legs are still parallel to each other. And then once you have that posture, go for 10 leg raises. You're going to need to keep a very active left hamstring and glute as you do this. Try and keep the pelvis still and level and isolate the movement of the raising leg. Remember to press down through the backs of your elbows, keeping the shoulders tight together. Go for a count of 10, and then when you're done with that, return your heels together, lower your pelvis down, and take a couple of breaths here. Good. Go ahead and draw your knees towards your chest. And you can roll a little bit here. Just something nice to have a variety while you're doing this. Keep things moving. So return your heels to the mat. Again, backs of arms or elbows tight to ribs, back of elbows pressing into the floor, shoulder blades drawn together. Engage the glutes to raise the hips. This time we're going to be working, we'll have the right foot planted and the left leg extended, and then go for 10 raises. And return your heels together, lower your pelvis down, relax the shoulders. Okay, we'll go for our final crunches here. Again, I'm going to go with twist. Reach high overhead, inhale, bend at the hips, let yourself halfway down, raise back up, fingertips to the floor with soft knees, stretch back into downward dog. And then reach your right knee and place it between your hands. And let your top of your left foot come down to the mat. Keep your arms straight at this point. From here, try to draw your legs together and sort of lift the pelvis off the mat a little bit. And then as you exhale, lower down and sink a little bit down onto your hips heavier. And then again, raise yourself up through the hips using the hip flexors on the left side and the deep muscles on the right side. And then exhale, lower yourself down a little bit. And then we're gonna stay in this for a minute. So you can lower yourself down to your elbows. Or you can lower yourself further down for a deeper stretch if that's good for you. If you're reaching mostly just by curving your back, that doesn't really achieve the stretch that's desired. The goal is to stretch this right hip, and so it doesn't really matter if you're reaching down with your upper back. It's more a question of whether you're letting this part of your body sink tighter in, whether your belly is reaching closer to the floor or not. So after a few deep breaths here, go ahead and raise yourself back up onto your hands. Bring your left toes back under, and as you straighten that leg, raise yourself up into downward dog. forward into a plank position, lower yourself down, and then again, drawing the shoulder blades down, reach up with the chest, let the hands hover, press back again into a downward dog, and then step or move the right knee up between the hands, basically just in the center of the mat. Let the right foot come to a relaxed posture. Again, supporting yourself with your arms still. Draw the pelvis up by using the muscles around the hips, and then exhale, lower yourself down, let your weight come down heavier on that left hip a little bit. Inhale again, draw up, and then exhale, lower yourself down. You can come down to your elbows here. Again, reaching the belly towards the floor. You can also sway a little bit in this stretch and see if it feels different with your weight shifted to one side or the other. Perhaps it feels better, like it addresses your specific tightness. Everyone's slightly different, of course, so stretching the hip in slightly different places can be more beneficial for certain people. So use this stretch to explore that tightness a little bit. From here, again, raise yourself up onto your hands. Right toes under, back to a downward dog position. Forward to a plank. Let's just do a couple push-ups here. So, strong, straight body. Good. Kind of a reset. Press back into downward dog. And then we're going to come through with the right knee again, stretching the hip for a second time. So again, raise yourself up a little bit and relax down on an exhale. Again, raise up and drop down, lowering yourself a bit. It's usually on the second time through that I will vary the pose a little bit and see if I can find a stretch that suits me a little bit better. So you can do that by walking the upper body to either side of the front knee, twisting the upper body a little bit perhaps, or just lowering down a little bit more. Go ahead and raise yourself back up onto your hands. Left toes under, lift the hips back to a downward dog. Slide forward to a plank and then lower yourself down. Draw yourself up using the muscles of your back. Draw your shoulders high. Good, and press into downward dog. This time left knee between hands. And again, supporting with the arms as you raise yourself up and then lower down into the stretch. Good, and then come down to your elbows or whatever's comfortable and vary the stretch however you think best. And then using your arms to regain the high position. Toes under, press back into a downward dog. Lower yourself down, raise up through the shoulders. And down into downward dog again. And then just walk the feet back to the hands and stand reaching overhead for a full extension. Okay. From here, reach up again and then lower your hands down so that they're in front of you and come onto your toes. From here, you can bend the knees and bend the hips so you're still on your toes, but you're coming into a gradually descending position. With the heels off the ground, try to descend all the way to a crouch or a squat. And then from here, just go ahead and sit down onto your butt. Take a position with your feet on the floor in front of your hips. I have about a foot of space in between my heels and where I'm sitting on the floor. With the hands behind your shoulders, behind your back, go ahead and come down so that your hips are fairly relaxed, and then raise the right leg and put the right ankle on top of the left knee, so you're in a figure 4. And then from here, you can walk the hands back and move the torso closer to vertical. Don't press so hard that you're really getting a heavy stretch in this right hip and right outer leg. I guess it's sort of a IT band area for some people. It's going to be different things for different folks, but it's a way to stretch that right hip. So it should be comfortable enough that your breathing is fine, you're able to breathe into your belly. And as you exhale, you can shift your chest a little bit closer to your shin. And then walk your hands back to relieve the stretch and uncross your legs. Go ahead and kick that leg out a little bit and then plant it. And then again, bring the left ankle over the right knee. Press that left knee away from your chest and walk your hands forward so that you deepen the stretch in the left hip. You can also point the toe of the left foot, or the hip, the foot of the leg being stretched, and that can also deepen the stretch. A couple of deep breaths here, deepening on the exhale if it feels good. And walk the hands away. Uncross, shake out that leg, shake out both legs. First side again, so right hip in this case. Walk the hands forward. And walk the hands away to relax the stretch. Stretch out that right leg, cross left ankle over right knee, and walk hands forward again for the final stretch. Again, try and reach the left knee away from the chest as you flex that foot to deepen the stretch. And continue to breathe deeply and press through your arms on your exhales. And then walk the hands away, uncross the legs, shake them out. Final thing, we'll just do a little bit of cat-cow to stretch the spine. So as you come into the cow, draw the shoulder blades down the back, draw the pelvis up towards the ceiling, and the opposite on the cat. Exhale fully, hands reach down, try and reach through the floor, spine reaches up, and then back to a neutral, and then call it good.